Oh, I forgot I was wearing this until I turned the camera back on myself. Okairi, welcome back to another Japan Life reading vlog. Now, if you've watched my most recent vlog on the channel, you'll know that by the sound of my voice, this is being started right after that one because I'm recovering from a double whammy of a cold and tonsillitis. So you love that from me, starting the new year off right. As such, I can't talk for too long, so full sit-down videos are not happening. I can talk for a little while in these kind of check-ins, so I've decided that a vlog is the way to go for now anyway, until my voice can handle actually sitting down and filming like for 30, 40 minutes, maybe even an hour, who knows. Videos take a long time, so I'm waiting until my voice can handle that. I've been wearing a mask around the house so as not to pass my cold off to my daughter, so that's been super fun to have to wear that around her. I also just kiss her all the time, like I can't help myself, so it's a nice guard for that as well. So that's why I was wearing this when I turned this on. She's out on a walk right now with her grandmother, as always. Hayato's mom has been just phenomenal. As soon as I got sick, the timing was terrible because after Hayato took time off for New Year's, he's been working, out of the house for 15, 16 hours a day. Like, he's just not home, working his ass off at the restaurant. So his mom has been just instrumental in helping me because I'm starting to feel better now, which is why I'm making this vlog. Better in the sense that I have a low grade fever now, not a high one, and I can like do stuff around the house as long as I don't push myself. But the last 2 days were not fun, couldn't talk much, that kind of thing, and she really swooped in and helped out. So eternally grateful for her. So anyway, so they're on a walk right now, so I figured I would just do a quick update, take the mask off, do a quick update, and then try to catch some sleep. And the other reason I wanted to do an update is because I'm finally officially reading The Helm of Midnight. It's happening. We are on page 24 and I'm tabbing this time, and I am loving this. Like, the world building is so detailed. I'm tabbing the shit out of it. I don't know if you can see how many tabs are already in here in 24 pages, because there's like little details that I want to remember because I think they're going to be important later. The world building is very intricate and the magic system seems like it has a lot of points to it, but like, I love that. I feel like I'm uncovering a puzzle with each page. My voice is going, so let's make this quick. I haven't read anything quite like this before, and I'm really glad that I'm now officially reading it. The pages that I've read so far, I read in the hospital weight room, so that was the other thing about the sickness is Japan, basically if you get sick on the weekend, you're screwed. Hospitals are 9 to 5 like everywhere else, except for very specific emergency centers. So if you get like kind of sick like I did, you can't really do anything about it. And then on top of that, Monday was a national holiday, so it was a 3-day weekend. So I was just able to go to the hospital today and get medicine. So yeah, anyway, that's where I read these pages. So I hope to get in bed now, get a little cozy since I know Sumire has really good care for the day, read this until I fall asleep. I also did want to show this real quick, which is an adorable little donut. Japan loves cute things, and apparently donuts are one of those main things. I love this donut shop. It's more like organic and natural, and they don't use a lot of sweeteners in their donuts at all, but they like to make little characters. So here's a little frog donut. The eyes are almonds. Underneath, I think, is like just like a cinnamon donut. I'm excited to eat this. I know that's not good when you're sick, but like, I'm gonna treat myself, okay? So I just thought I'd show this on camera. It's adorable little friend that I have. I'm actually really excited to get back to this book, so I will check back in with you guys after I've read some more and my voice is recovered from talking for this long. Also, just real quick to add to the mother-in-law appreciation post, she got me these beautiful tulips to look at because she knew that I was feeling really down. Not only is it January, but I'm like dying. So she got me these tulips to put on the table. So it's just, I'm just so thankful for thoughtful people in my life. Those are making me happy looking at them right now. So wish me luck in my recovery. I'll talk to you guys soon. Alright, so my voice still isn't the best, and my nose is a bit stuffy today. I decided to get a latte, a cafe au lait from a shop after I went grocery shopping today. It was like all milk. And raw milk makes Meadows stuffy, so now we got that going on. So I sound great, but Sumire just went down for a nap, and I am also very tired, so I feel like I might crash too. But before accepting that fate, I thought I would read a little bit and take this opportunity to check in with you guys. So I am, where am I? I am on page 183 of the Helm of Midnight. As you can see, I am tabbing the crap out of it on my way through because this is very detailed. Like the world building is fascinating to me. I've never read anything quite like this, and but it's very detailed, so I have to keep track of like what the different powers are and how they relate to each other so I can look back at it, because I have a feeling that it's going to be important later. This book lays it out for you, but it lays it out for you just a couple of times, or even once sometimes, and then you just have to remember those points. Man, that milk really fucked me up. My nose is fucked up right now. There's so many details that it's hard for me to give a summary of like the world so much, but basically humanity lives in this bubble that is supposedly safe from the outside world, which is full of monsters that can kill humans. And the bubble was created by these 4 or 5 gods, and they poured their magic into the bubble to keep humans safe, is like the mythology, the folklore of this world. And from that border come 5 different kinds of magic, which can be channeled into different types of metal. And used in many different ways. So like the currency in this world is time, and everyone is required to give a time tax in order to share time communally, because one of the gods is time. So it's like, it's really interesting. Everything is really tied in together. The gods are also really unique. And I love how it ties in with the economy, with the currency. Another really cool aspect of this world, and one of the main points to the story, is there are masks called death masks that can be imbued with the spirit and the memory or the echo of a person. So if someone, for example, is like one of the best healers in the world, they can put their knowledge into this death mask. But also along with the knowledge goes like an echo of their personality. So these different masks take training to be able to use. So you can, there's like different ranking levels. So there's low level ones where the person's personality isn't strong, and most people can wear it. And then there's like high level ones that only people who specialize in it should use it. It's really, really interesting. And so we start this story where the mask of one of the most infamous and brutal serial killers gets stolen. And people are like, why would someone want this mask? This is terrifying. All hell is about to break loose. And not only are there masks, there's also jewels that can be embedded with emotions that can make people feel certain ways. So it's so intricate, like I said, and interesting. And I am completely sucked into this world. I just really hope that Lost Debtor is keeping track of all of these little things and they'll all become significant in the end, because I love when authors do that. Of course, you know, there can be some throwaway points, but I have faith so far that this is being intricately woven with a purpose. So thoroughly enjoying myself. I'm very glad that I'm finally reading this. So far I'm getting like a 4.5 star vibe. We'll see. Obviously I have a lot more of it to go. I plan to try to read some here, like I said, before I fall asleep, but I'm having a fantastic time with this. Like I said, I've never read anything quite like this before, and I am digging it. Okay, so I'm on page 218 right now, and I'm starting to get a bunch of theories about this book. I'm starting to put a bunch of those little like seemingly disparate details together, I think. And I think I've solved a piece of the puzzle. Like, I'm pretty damn confident that I've solved 2 of the pieces of the puzzle of this book. I'm only 50% of the way through, so I could get more information that could change that. But right now, like, some things are clicking, and I'm excited. I'm digging it, and if I get it right, I'm going to be so happy. I'm trying to keep this spoiler-free, so I'm not going to say what my theories are in this vlog, but, like, I'm pretty damn sure. Basically, I have an idea for these creatures in the world, like what their purpose is and what they actually are, because I don't think that they are what they appear to be. And I also think that there's this big lie being told by the state that connects to previously disparate plot lines, and I think I figured out how those connect. I don't know. I'm hoping so. But the fact that it's making me this excited and like putting the pieces together with all the little details, like I'm really digging this. I'm digging this a lot. All right, so I just got back from a walk outside with Sumire, and I found an area near the house that's smooth enough for me to be able to like jog with the stroller. Like there's no bumps and I don't have to be in the road for it, and I'm so excited because I've been looking for a place like that forever, because I know like running with a stroller is something people do and have done for a long time, but I haven't been able to find a place where I can do that, and Sumire seemed to love it, so that was a very successful walk. And then when I came back, I checked the mail, and I'm very excited to have received this tiny little package here. For those of you who don't know, my favorite Japanese children's book author and artist is Junaida. Yeah, I actually have them within reach. Look at that. He has this very whimsical and also kind of dark edge to some of his later art, actually, that's very fairy tale-esque. And he has this collection of books that is called Ihatovo. And these are his visual interpretations of the works of Kenji Miyazawa, who was a children's author and poet back, I think in the Showa period is when he lived. And I only had, I think, the first one of this collection because the last two were kind of hard to get their hands on, and then my wonderful husband Hayato got them for me for Christmas. So I was sitting down and like going through these and reading some of the passages. Some of them are still a little bit difficult for me in Japanese, some of the longer ones. But I really liked what I was able to read. It has that kind of whimsy that I really enjoy in middle grade. And this image, particularly the one that's on the cover, of the first book, is from a short story of his, which I think the English translation is The Galaxy Railroad or something like that, Night on the Galaxy Railroad. And it's supposed to be this really fun adventure. And so that's all to say that I got interested in actually reading his work. Now, as I said, some of the Japanese translations, or some of the Japanese, the kanji is still a bit difficult for me, so I needed a translation. And I was very happy that when I looked online, I was able to find this little English, oh, it's so cute! This little English translation of A Night on the Galactic Railroad, so I was close, and other stories. And I am so excited to read this little book. It's so cute in my hands, and it's short, so I think I could blow through this in one sitting. There was another collection of his short stories, which I think also has poetry in it, but it was much more expensive than this one. So I thought, let me read this little one first, especially this story is the one that I really wanted to read. Because I love this art rendition of it, so if it has the same vibes as this, I'm gonna adore it. So I wanted to read that story specifically, and then if I love it, I'll get my hands on some more of his work. Then something else I wanted to show before I talk about what I'm currently reading is I received this book a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and I forgot to show it in the vlog that I was doing at the time. This is definitely an overpriced book, but I really wanted to get it because it's absolutely beautiful. And that is The Lies of Locke Lamora, the special edition from Galactic. I think that's how you pronounce that imprint. The back quote says, "The difference between honest and dishonest commerce is that when an honest man or woman of business ruins someone, they don't have the courtesy to cut their throat to finish the affair." And that's the vibes of The Lies of Locke Lamora. And the foiling is beautiful. It's got gorgeous sprayed edges. Now, like I said, it is beautiful. It's got really nice end papers, but there is no internal art. The inside is basically the same. It is signed, which is nice. Very, very nice. And there's only 750 signed copies, and I have number 332. So that's exciting. But for what it is, I don't blame people for saying that they didn't want to go for it for the price. But I'm really happy that I have this. The other reason I really wanted to get this is I have the kind of shorter versions of these from Galactic. Actually, I can just go get them from my shelves over there to show just kind of how beat up they are, because they're really pretty, but I read from them. And what I noticed about this one has the same material as those do. This material doesn't hold up well to being read, I realized. So those are definitely supposed to be just for show, but I actually read them, so the corners are really scuffed and everything, and I wanted a nicer version of this. Have I also tried to track down the original US hardcover for this? Yes, I have. Haven't been successful thus far. I did track down one that claimed to be one of the first editions of it, the one that's like silvery and purple. I'll put it up on the screen if you know what I'm talking about, but I did find that on Abe Books, but when I received it, it definitely was not what it was advertised to be. So I'm still on the hunt for that. But in the meantime, one of my favorite stories, I now have this absolutely gorgeous edition. So these are the smaller special editions. Like, if you look from far away, they don't look that beat up, but if you take a closer look, you can see the corners are really scuffed. The bottom as well. I tabbed this one. I didn't tab the other ones, I'm not sure why. Then I also have, so this is the Lies of Locke Lamora. Then I have Red Seas Under Red Skies and The Republic of Thieves. But if you look at Red Seas Under Red Skies and The Republic of Thieves, you'll see the same thing has kind of happened to them. They're pretty scuffed up. These don't have, you know, a huge price tag on them, but, you know, they're clearly not meant to be read in the way that I read them, but it is nice to have them all tabbed up on my shelves. I love this series so much. I cannot wait for Thorn of Emberlane. I'm not the only one who thinks that, I'm sure. So you can see that the new edition also does kind of match the color scheme and the vibes of the smaller ones. So that's kind of nice, but yeah, I'm glad I got an upgrade. Then let's talk about what I'm actually reading, not just my habit of buying books. I have made quite a bit of progress in the Helm of Midnight, so I'm here now. I think that's what, according to Goodreads, like 60 or 65% of the way through. Every time I sit down to read it, I get really sucked into it. It's just making the time to read it. I'm on chapter 29, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this, but this is dark, guys. It is dark and it is heavy. I gave you guys some of the things that are involved in this book the last time I did a check-in for it, but that perspective of that serial killer slowly losing his mind is just, it's hard to read. It's hard to read for me. Children play a very important role in this society, and that's still kind of something that's sensitive to me. Not as much as it was. Like before, I probably couldn't have read this book because of that aspect of it, so I can read it. Maybe it just feels darker and heavier to me because that's a theme there, and I know that I'm a bit more sensitive to it still. But in general, though, yeah, this book it's dark. It goes places. You're like, is it gonna go? Is it? Oh, it went there, you know? So it definitely has like a horror vibe to it as well. If you like horror, this could be a nice crossover book for you. It's also got like a whodunit aspect to it, so there's a thriller vibe in there too. This is a very genre-bendy book that's very ambitious in what it does. And I'm really, like I said in my last check-in, I think, hoping that Lost Udder brings it home in the end and really ties together all of these strings, or at least a good amount of them, because I know there's a sequel to this, so I don't expect it to be wrapped up with a bow, but still. If the rest of this book is as good as what I've read so far, I'll definitely be continuing on to the sequel, which is a very pleasant surprise, considering how long it took me to actually pick this up. So I'm actually gonna settle in and read this now. Sumire just went down for a nap while we were out for a walk, so she might give me, you know, another 45 minutes, and I'd like to take that time to jump into this. We ordered in lunch today, so we have some sushi. Yay! What do we have?
Oh, engawa, tai, maguro, ebi, salmon, これはアナゴ、イカ、カンパチ。
I'll put all the English on the screen for you guys, but there's a free Japanese lesson. There's a place that we like to order from, and they deliver pretty quick, so we decided to treat ourselves today. Oishito, itadakimasu. Hey guys, it has been a couple days since I've checked in. I meant to fill you guys in the morning after I finished reading the Helm of Midnight, but a lot of, you know, life happened and didn't quite get to it. But I was about to step out the door and I realized this is the perfect time to do it. This book, I have thoughts, I have feelings, it's still kind of all floating around in my head. I did get down initial thoughts in my Goodreads review, but I even said in that review that I kind of need to sit with it a little bit. I ended up giving this 4 stars, and I do think that that's where I'm gonna settle with it. But there are just a lot of factors that go into that rating. So I mentioned when I was first reading this book, it was giving me 5-star vibes because it was so unique, so different. There were so many different world building aspects to it, and that is still true. I'm still very intrigued by that. There was also the murder mystery. It does become a murder mystery because someone steals the mask imbued with the murderer's knowledge and starts using it. So there is a murder mystery aspect to this as well. And so if you combine both of those things, there's a lot driving the plot forward and driving you as a reader forward to want to know more information. The only problem is those different threads of both the murder mystery and the world were held so disparate from each other and separate from each other for too long, to the point where when I was like halfway through this book, I was starting to get annoyed because I wasn't getting any kind of revelation. I was getting character revelations, which it was, a great reward, but the overarching plot had so many threads pushing it forward that it was kind of surprising that we weren't going anywhere. Does that make sense? I'm having a really hard time putting my feelings into words. Basically, I loved all of the elements of this. They were just kept separate for too long. In the end, there were some that did come together in a satisfying way. But when it comes to like the world building and the gods, specifically in this world, too much was left unturned for my liking. I know that this has a sequel, and I do plan to read it at some point. I definitely want to know what happens, but I feel like it was just too open-ended in that way, where I put so much time and effort, this little print here. There were so many threads plopped in front of me that I wanted to follow, and we ended up not following enough of them for me to really enjoy the ending of that part of the ending of this book. And while the characters aren't I would die for them level, it did get a lot of emotions out of me. I cried during this book, during several key points. And I think what really pulled that out of me was the fact that children and infants play a really important role in this book and thus end up being put in danger often. There might be trigger warnings out there. I don't know. I don't usually check them, so that's on me if they are out there. But I wasn't aware that that was in this book, and I've talked quite a bit about with like Brick and Bow and how slow I had to read that book because of the themes in it. This book ramps that up. And just trigger warning for death of children and infants. It's not on page, it's not gratuitous, but I'm just not in a place where I can handle that really well. But by the point that that was already brought up and became such an integral part of the plot, I was already sucked in and wanted to know what happened otherwise in the book. So it was my choice to push through. It's not the fault of the book, but that, I guess, in one way hindered my experience, and in another way made me feel it a lot deeper than I would have otherwise. The parts where I cried really had to do with those emotions. I'd say this book overall is a mishmash, a big blend of fantasy, horror, and sci-fi. So this book was really good. I liked a lot of the themes that it had, a lot of the elements to the world building. It's extremely ambitious, and I hope in the second book, those ambitions play out a little bit more. So I am really glad that I finally read it. It was a lot. It was dark. And I found after reading this, I decided I needed to take a break and read something a little bit lighter. So currently, what am I reading? Let's talk about that. Actually, before we talk about what I'm reading next, I do want to close this out by saying this book has been haunting my TBRs for 2 to 3 years now. And I finally read it, and I'm so happy. Not only that I enjoyed it, but also that I can check this box finally. So I plan to do a We Did It live. I'm also getting really close to 2,000 subscribers, so I would really like to celebrate that, getting close to that milestone as well. So be on the lookout for me planning just like a hang out with me AMA kind of live. I plan to do it just to celebrate this massive achievement. Just wait till I read Moby Dick. Oh my god, I'm gonna be insufferable. But on to what I am currently reading. Let me get that out of my bag. I was about to go to the gym, go out the door to the gym, and of course I'm bringing my book with me because I plan to go get coffee after and read. So, you know, you can't leave the house without a book. But anyway, currently I am reading Kenji Miyazawa. I think I hauled this in the previous clip for this vlog. So I am currently reading That Night on the Galactic Railroad. I read the first two stories and poem. They are somber. They're sadder than I expected. But this particular story, which is the one he's most known for and the one I wanted to read the most, is very much whimsical. Just sweeps you off to a new world. I'm having a great time with it so far. I am more than halfway through, I think. I'm here. And so I have this much left to read. So I plan to read that at a cafe after going to the gym. Basically, these two boys catch a train. That goes through space, and they experience all of the wonders of that train ride. You know, I also really love the Polar Express. So there's something about like transformative train rides that I really seem to enjoy. And it's something about a train, too, that seems to carry a certain type of magic with it. You know, Harry Potter, platform and 3/4, you get on a train. There's something about trains. I'm just realizing this now. Has anyone else realized this? Also, if there are any other stories with, like, magical train rides, I think I'm into it. I think that's a thing I'd like to get into. So comment down below if you know any other stories with that in it, because just that aspect itself is adding a lot of magic and whimsy to this story. I think I'm going to finish this really quickly while I'm in the cafe, so I have to bring another book with me. And very much on theme, as I mentioned, I think in the previous check-in, that I started reading Kenji Miyazawa because my favorite Japanese artist, Junaida, has a whole collection of art that's inspired by his works. So that's why I'm reading this book. And then my absolutely wonderful husband had a late Christmas present delivered, and it's late because it just released 2 days ago and he had it ordered on that day. Junaida's brand new collection. It's called Sekai, which means world, and I haven't looked at it yet. It's just a collection of art. There's no words in here, it looks like, but just taking a cheeky little peek, it looks like a collection of different worlds that he's created, which is one of my favorite elements of his art, where he takes all of these tiny little minutiae, these little details that you can discover every time you look at the page. You discover something new, and it looks like this is just a book full of that, which I'm about to lose my mind. So I'm gonna go to a cute little cafe and get lost in these worlds. But I only have about 2.5 hours before Hayato has to go to work, so I'm gonna skedaddle, do a very quick workout, and then read. Okay, well, what happened? I feel like all of my check-ins have been from this corner at night recently in this vlog, but this is just what my life is like right now. I got Sumire to bed, I recorded earlier, and I was gonna do some editing, but then I decided, you know what, I want to read. So, and I have updates for you guys. So, the last check-in, I believe, was when I was reading this book, Night on the Galactic Railroad and Sekai, which I left over there. I was reading these in the cafe, the Nice Vibes Cafe. I did finish this book that day, and I wrote a review that I think really sums up how I feel about it. Basically, I give this a 3.5, and it does have the beautiful whimsy that is just whimsy for the sake of being that. Things don't really make sense, and they don't really have to. You don't really want them to, and that sense of wonder is really well captured here. I didn't give you guys a good basis for before I started explaining this, but the titular story in here, Night on the Galactic Railroad, is a story of two boys who catch a train that rides through the Milky Way, and we see what they see as they're on this trip through the sky. So Like I said, it has that kind of whimsy to it. All of these stories here do. I can see why they were grouped together. This has 2 other short stories, along with the titular one, as well as a poem. And all of them kind of have the same motifs, the same imagery of like trains, signposts, birds, space. Those are kind of the 4 main things that come to mind. So I can see why they were grouped together. The first 2 short stories were okay. They didn't really strike me. Like I said, there was a whimsical part to each of them that did suck me in. But underneath all of these stories is this undercurrent of melancholy. I can't really think of another word besides that. It doesn't have that purely joyful, whimsical nature. It's a very contemplative and melancholy kind of whimsy. And so there is a beauty to that, but I think that's just not really what I was in the mood for when I was reading. So not that it's necessarily a bad thing, it's just not exactly what I had wanted to read at the time. So I do think that hindered some of my enjoyment. But going back to the titular story, the ending is not so surprising if you think about Japanese literature, which often has a not so happy is not the right word, but doesn't have a happy ending. The ending here isn't necessarily sad, but it's not joyful either. So yeah, it was a very interesting story. It's very short. I think it's like 60 pages maybe, but the pages are like, this size with this font. So it's a very short story. I read it in one sitting. So I can see where a lot of the imagery in these stories has an influence on Junaida's work, which also does have like a darker edge to it. I wouldn't call it melancholy, but some of it is just pure whimsy and joy. And some of it does have a darker edge to it. But I can definitely see where Miyazawa has influenced some of Junaida's work, which is really nice, and that's kind of what I wanted to get out of this read. Will I read more of his work? Possibly, because I do think that there were some gems, some moments that were really beautiful in here, but it's not going to be tippy top on my TBR. The next thing I read, however, was also read in one sitting, and it was the free novella by Ken Liu called The Passing of the Dragon. This is available for free on Tor.com, but as soon as I read it, I knew I needed to have my own copy to highlight and revisit, so I purchased it. It's like $2, but I immediately bought it. So this short story has changed me. Ken Liu, I already knew how talented he was. Dandelion Dynasty is one of my, if not, it's definitely top 5 favorite epic fantasy series of all time. And I love his writing. I think he has such a way with words that it's just an innate talent. And so I've wanted to try his short fiction for a long time, and I started reading The Paper Menagerie. But I was listening to the audiobook, and I could just tell that this was a collection that I needed to like sit and read physically to really grasp it and get the full impact. So I stopped listening. But that first story that I did listen to already has stuck in my brain. I found it to be very impactful. And so this was my first foray reading a full short story by him. It's so good. I was bawling my eyes out by the end of this. Like I said, it's a one sitting kind of thing. You can just sit and have your coffee in the morning for like a half hour, sit down to read this story. And I highly recommend that you do, because I promise you it will change the trajectory of your day. I think it's best to go into this blind as I did, not really knowing what to expect because it's so short. And I think that journey is part of, the experience of the story, is going on the journey from not knowing anything. What I will say is that this story left me with a feeling of inspiration, of ownership of the things that bring me joy in my life, and of being understood, of being seen, and all of the complexities that come with that feeling. In my review for The Passing of the Dragon, I kept it very simple, just a few sentences, and I can sum up the sentiments by saying, savor the echoes of the passing of your dragon, and let that inform how you walk through the world. Now, as for what am I currently reading, I started Dragonflight last night as well. So I was in a big reading mood yesterday. I finished Night on the Galactic Railroad, The Passing of the Dragon, and I'm 2% into Dragonflight This is part of my classic fantasy TBR that I've wanted to get to for a long time. And Chris over on the Fictional Escapist is running a buddy read along, and the timing was just absolutely perfect, so I've joined in. So I started this last night, and the writing seems like it's gonna be really good, actually, thus far. Like I said, I'm only 2% in, so I don't want to speak too soon, and I fell asleep reading it, but that's not, you know, a comment on the book. I was exhausted. So I do plan to settle in and read this now for most of the night, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'll check back in with you guys once I've made some progress. So we are at Hirata Nursery, which is, you know, like a plant nursery. And it's one of our favorite places to come get plants, and we're searching for Sumide's 8-month flower that we're gonna, you know, take her picture with. So I'll show you guys the inside. They have some really cool like setups in there. Like right on the outside here, they have a car, a broken down car, and in the hood they've put a bunch of plants. It's a lot of fun. So I'll take you with us. What should we get you, Sumire? Some ranunculus really might be cute. Look. We should let her pick. She seems to like these. So we decided on getting 3 different colors of these. I actually don't know what this plant is called. I do know it's a winter plant. So, are you ready to take your photo shoot? Huh? Some Asian orchids. You can take seminars or lessons about taking care of plants here in there, and I actually got Hayato one about orchids because he loves them, but it was during COVID and it got canceled. So we never had a chance. It's like little chia pets. So now we're at a shopping mall, just kind of enjoying a family outing. No particular goal in mind. But we decided to get some ramen. Oishiso. Itadakimasu.
Itadakimasu. You can explain.
So we already started eating because we were both really hungry. But we're on a date night. Yay!
With no alcohol beer.
Yes, because someone's driving. Thank you.
I'm gonna get the fat one.
This is seseri, chicken neck. It's one of my favorite yakitori things. It's good, and it's usually served with yuzu gosho, which is like a spicy citrus paste. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
And this is our first time coming to this yakitori restaurant, and so far everything's been real good. We are impressed, so yay! I'll show you guys the next things that come out. This is namahamu, raw ham, I guess is the way you translate it, with avocado. And then we have butabara, pork, standard pork cut, and bonjiri. Bonjiri, it's the fatty section?
Hip.
Fatty section of the hip.
Butt. Ass.
This is the tsukune, which technically is a meatball, but you can sometimes, yakitori restaurants will have little meatballs on a stick, but you'll also often find this kind, which is like a long, long meatball.
Poop? You mean poop?
I guess. And you dip it in, not egg white, what's the opposite? Egg yolk. Dip it in here. And it is quite yummy, I'm not gonna lie. Hayato gave a piece of information I forgot to give. What's the sauce?
Oh, the sauce is like a Sweden teriyaki sauce.
There's sauce. I forgot to update you guys on the last couple orders, but this is pig foot. I'm not a huge fan just because I don't like the texture, but the taste is quite good. And what else did we eat? We ate a bunch of other yakitori. We had asparamaki, asparagus wrapped in bacon, delicious. We had caprese maki, so tomato, cheese, a little bit of basil sauce, and then this is a crispy chicken stick. Smells good. Looking forward to that. I just finished our live page tuning interview for TBRCon with Ryan CAHILL and of course PL, and it was such a delightful talk. Like, we had Ryan on back when page tuning, I think right when I was brought on board actually by Steve and PL back in 2022. I think he's like episode 19 or something like that. So since then, I've been very lucky to have developed a kind of friendship with Ryan through the Whiskey and Books group, but it had been ages since we had him on in like a professional like interview capacity, and he's such an easy person to talk to. He always has really thought out, intriguing answers to your questions, and it's just good page tuning episodes, which is pretty much all of them, always leave me in such a natural high afterwards. Just being able to have that connection with people who are passionate about what you're passionate about. It's just, it was a great way to start the day. I'll have links to the original page tuning episode where we talk a lot about his journey in the indie and self-publishing world and how he became the success, the well-deserved successful author he is today. And then I'll also, of course, link the one that we just did, which talks a little bit more like in depth about his stories and a little bit less about the writing process. But it was just, like I said, such a wonderful way to start my day. I love page tuning, damn it. The amount of time that PL and I spend doing it for no monetary compensation is insane, but then you have a conversation like this and it makes your whole day better, and you're like, this is why I do it. So just feeling so happy and so blessed to be part of the community I'm a part of today. But Sumire is taking her nap, so I decided to take advantage to do either my last, or I think this might be the second to last check-in for this vlog, because I thought I've already talked about the Helm of Midnight, like we did it. I'm still so proud of myself for that. But I am currently reading Dragonflight. I don't know if I mentioned that in my last check-in because I don't remember exactly what my last check-in was. But I am currently reading Dragonflight on my Kindle, and I am 80% of the way through, I think. And I have thoughts, okay? It was written in the 60s, and I'm well aware and acknowledge that comes with a completely different context of me reading it in a present-day lens. But that doesn't mean that I can't express when things bother me, and the not like other girlsness of this book is driving me up the fucking wall. There's one main female character, and it has to be reiterated over and over and over and over again that she's not like these silly other women. And it's the only other women that like she begrudgingly respects or other people begrudgingly respect are either killed off or seen as like a rival because you can't have two successful women. Absolutely not. Just unacceptable. And I'm aware of the context in which this was written, and I also know that fantasy is, and very much still is in some ways, a boys' club. And Anne McCafferty, however you say her last name, writing at this time was probably writing for that audience. So, you know, silly girls, get out of here. Like, it could have been a purposeful choice by her to have those vibes. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't affect my reading experience now, and it is annoying the living shit out of me. And honestly, there's this one line that just completely crosses the line for me in this book. I was like, this did not need to be in here. Like, this was a choice, trademark choice, okay? So I just pulled up the line in my notes section of this, and I just wrote nope, 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 nope when I was reading this. So I don't want to give any plot points away, so I'll just kind of skip and say the main parts of the quote. That doesn't like give away who's doing what, but it says, "He had not thought to control his dragon-incited emotions," and Lessa's, the main female character, first sexual experience had been violent. "He had been a considerate and gentle bedmate ever since, but unless the dragons were involved, he might as well call it rape. Yet he knew someday, somehow, he would coax her into responding wholeheartedly to his lovemaking." I am speechless. That is disgusting. That, I don't care what context this is from. This is, it's basically okaying the idea of like marital or rape within a relationship. Like, it's cool. She'll get used to it. Ain't nobody had to put this on paper, and she decided that it was a good idea too. That bothered me. I can excuse a lot, again, because of the times, and I can contextualize the things that bother me about a book. Like, I can understand that the things that are annoying me are part of this product of the time box or whatever. But that right there is a choice, and one that I am not on board with. That alone dropped this book a star. Like, disgusting. But if I shove that awfulness just in a box for a minute and focus on the world and the way Walt McCaffrey was doing with the dragons and with her genre bending and like twisting in a bunch of sci-fi concepts, that's really cool. And I can tell that it was something new for the time, and that she was doing something really interesting here. And actually, speaking of Ryan, I brought up this book because he's said before in interviews that this particular book, the dragons in this particular book, are part of his inspiration for the way he does dragons in his world. And one of the things he said was that McCaffrey had a specific purpose for the dragons. It's not like, hey, there's this creature that exists here. Like, no, there's a reason that they're here. They have a purpose, and they're part of the world building and like the sense of place. And I think that that's a really good way to explain the way that she handles that creature or dragons here. And that is very fascinating. But then again, something I'm really enjoying about this is also McCaffrey's writing. She writes with intention and knows what she wants to say before she says it. Let me just pull up like a couple examples that I highlighted here. Hold on. Like this quote here where she says, "The cobbles of the yard were icy through the thin soles of her sandals, and she shivered as the pre-dawn air penetrated her patched garment." So up until this point in the story, we had not been told that it was winter. We had not been told that this character that we're looking at right now is poor or destitute. But just in that one sentence, we get all of that information, as well as a sense of place. You get the imagery through cobbled streets. You get the scene set by pre-dawn being put in the sentence. There are so many things accomplished within that one sentence, and I found that she's so good at doing that. And the writing is clearly purposeful, and every word seems to be chosen very carefully. There are also a couple lines that are just beautiful, like this one, "Where relentless grass had forced new growth through the ancient mortar, green witness to the deterioration of the once stone clean hold." Again, beautifully put, but there's so much information here. The fact that the stone clean hold makes it clear that it was supposed to not have grass there. in a more significant way than like, you know, the forest taking back something that was abandoned. It seems to be an invasion of sorts, the way that it's worded here, using the word deterioration. She's so good at choosing words, which is why I'm so confused as to why she would put shit like what I read earlier in this book, because clearly you know how words work. Like, choose them a bit more carefully. My emotions are all confused. So I have a lot of conflicting feelings about this book, because I can tell what McCaffrey was going for, and I can appreciate a lot of those elements. But then, like, a line like the one I just read you, not that horrendous, that one's particularly horrendous, but it'll just be thrown in, and I'm like, oh, did you have to ruin that cool world building thing you just did with that? Like, did that really need to be there? Because now I'm annoyed. So I'm really just, you know, my feelings are really confused about this. So like I said, I'm most of the way finished with this. I plan to hopefully finish it tonight, fingers crossed. And then I'll do my last check-in, and maybe the ending will sway me one way or another. But it's definitely nowhere in the 5-star range, because like I said, just the ickiness of that part of this plot, in that particular line, knocked off a full star already. Like, we're starting at 4 stars. Because my reading experience is definitely being affected by it. So we'll see how the rest of it goes, and I'll let you guys know. Okay, so apparently all of my sit-down check-ins for this vlog are from this corner and at night, but just the time that I have to film. But this is going to be my final check-in for this vlog, because I finished Dragonflight, and I also got a broken binding package that I thought I would open as a nice kind of final piece to this vlog. So let's talk about Dragonflight first. I have not written a full review yet, because I have thoughts. I have conflicting, contradicting thoughts. Just as you heard in my previous check-in, you know, I thought the writing was beautiful at some points, but the not like other girls and like misogynistic, not even undertones, overtones of the story was just ruining my reading experience in many ways. The ending did add more enjoyment to the world, which I said I was enjoying, right? I liked the purpose of the dragons in the world, and I liked the framework that was set up. And the ending brought in a couple different like sci-fi aspects into the fantasy world that I thought was a lot of fun. Wasn't what I was expecting, but that was the fun part of it, really. I wasn't sure how they were going to wrap up, how McCaffrey was going to wrap up the ending, so I had a good time with it, that aspect of it. But the relationship part of this book is so bad and so just horrible. And I mean, not just in the fact that they don't have any chemistry, horrible in the fact that that rape quote that I made earlier, nothing changes. Basically, that's the vibe of the whole thing. He shakes her, he slaps her, he beats her up, and then she ends up falling in love with him. Like, that's not really a spoiler. I think you can kind of see it coming from like the beginning. These two are going to be set up to be together, but he's just horrible to her until, I don't know, Stockholm syndrome takes over or something, and she ends up falling in love with him. Like, he doesn't change. Well, see, that's what's confusing, because you can tell that McCaffrey wanted to do a little bit of commentary in that realm, where near the end of the book he starts to suddenly have respect for her and say, well, if she can do this, then if she's capable of doing said thing, then she can do this other thing, and I should trust her and let her do it. But the problem is, she had to had to disobey. Again, that word is used a lot in this book. She had to disobey him in order to prove that she was capable of taking care of herself. No one ever told her that. I mean, this is a spoiler, so you can bleep out. I'll put the timestamp below if you want to skip over this. But no one told her that that when the dragons mate, she's basically going to be forced to have sex and become the mate of the human counterpart of that dragon. No one told her this, and they were just like, you'll have so much fun being queen, enjoy, figure it out as you go. It's just, so many parts of this made me feel icky. And I think a lot of it is reading it knowing that it was a woman who wrote it. It's kind of like, were you really overcompensating to try to meet your male-dominated audience at the time? Or are these just it kind of makes me sad, I guess, because the not other girl aspect of this was me when I was really immature. I was a tomboy. If you can do it, I can do it better. What is it? Anything you can do, I can do better. Kind of tomboy. And I'm not ashamed of being that. That's a part of myself growing up. And I still have a part of that girl inside me today, don't get me wrong. But that kind of developed into a not like other girls adolescence, where I was very insecure in myself and I was projecting that insecurity onto other girls. And to see that written into a book from a woman who was a pioneer in the field in so many other ways, to see that so baked into this story broke my heart a little bit. Even though, like I said, it can be a context of its, in the context of its time and a product of that time, but that doesn't mean that the writing doesn't have an effect on me today. And that really ruined my reading experience. So while I enjoyed so many other aspects of this book, I can't give it anything above a 3.5. So that's what I got, or 3-star. I think I gave it a 3-star. I did read this as a buddy read, and I'm really glad that I did, because I'm really looking forward to talking to the other people who read it and bouncing ideas off of them. I don't know if it's going to be public or a private chat, if we're just going to do it on Discord, or if there's going to be a live about it. If there is a live, I'll be sure to put it, blast it on my channel and on X and Twitter and all that, so you guys know that it's coming. But I definitely want to bounce my ideas off of other people, because, like I said, there are aspects I really like and aspects I absolutely despise. So this is a very polarizing book for me, and a confusing book for me in that way. So I'd really like to hear what other people have to say. Now let's end this vlog with a fun unboxing of the broken binding. Now I am 99.9% sure that this is the subscription box book for, oh my god, what would that even be, for January? Yeah, for January, which is Northern Wrath, I believe. And this was actually the first subscription series that I thought of skipping, because I'd never even heard of it. But then they shared the art, okay? And the art is absolutely stunning. Like, if you want gigantic Nordic gods, this art captured that so beautifully. And there was this one particular art piece that they shared, which was like a giant sea serpent attacking a ship, and I was like, look, listen, y'all know, if you've been around my channel enough, I'm terrified of the ocean. I'm never going anywhere near the deep ocean. You could not pay me to do that. But that means that since I'm safe from it, I'm very intrigued by the dangers that it holds, because I'm not going anywhere near them. So once I saw that, I was like, well, now I can't skip this. So let's open this up and see what it looks like. Okay, so the first book is called Northern Wrath, but the series name is the Hanged God series. And as always, we get a bookmark, and the bookmark says, because change changes and does not change back, and in the end, the ending will not come to an end. Reads very poetic. I'm digging that. I'm digging that a lot, actually. Let's take the ribbon off, add it to my pile. Oh, those edges are pretty. I forgot what the edges for this was. The back says, honor the dead, remember their names, see their faces, and speak of their ways. I like that too. I think I'm gonna like the writing in this, actually. I can already tell. So here's the front. Gilded, we love that. Northern Wrath. Wow, the detail in that is very pretty. Well, pretty is not the right word. There's blood splatters all over his face, but the details are nice. And then the edges will become I guess, what do you call this? It's not the tree of life, is it? Basically a giant tree with the roots at the bottom is what this looks like it'll end up becoming. And the intricacies, as usual, are on point. You can see all the little details in the roots. See, this is why I should have filmed this during the day, so you can see that. It is signed and numbered as always. Oh, that is okay. I said okay about the end pages. Let's look at those for a second here. I am loving the vibes of this. And the back end papers. And then we have, of course, the beautiful gilding that we always get. giving me Siege vibes with those arrows coming in. And is that like a giant wolf? Okay, I'm such a sucker for giant wolf companions. I just have a really soft spot for them, so this is gorgeous. The broken binding just ups the ante every time. They really do. So as I said, this is the first one I thought of skipping because I know literally nothing about it, but the design is very good here because I'm getting clear vibes from it. Like I can kind of tell what I'm getting into now, having looked at it and read the little blurbs. So yeah, I'm excited to get to this. When I'm in the mood for like an epic Nordic fantasy, I'll be picking this up. Also, I'm looking a little closer at this, like the back end page art, and it looks like the woman has like glowing eyes, and then from those glowing eyes blood is flowing, which, like, if we've got like a high cost magic system in here too, obsessed. I love that. I think this is a trilogy, so I'll be getting 2 more of these in the subscription, and I'll be proud to put them on my shelves. Maybe I'll do edges out for these, I don't know, we'll see. And very last thing before I go is, speaking of the broken binding, I am now about to start the Bitter Twins. This is the broken binding edition of it. I'm so excited. You guys know that The Ninth Reign was my top book of 2023, and stopping myself from binging the whole trilogy was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm not stopping myself anymore. So I'm going to be starting this tonight. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see where this plot goes. So in the next vlog, you'll be seeing me reading this. And you'll probably be seeing a lot more vlogs than you did before, just because, I think I mentioned this in a previous vlog as well, but these like little snippets of time that I can take to sit down and talk about what I'm reading rather than doing the whole setup of a sit-down video is just working better for my life right now. So you'll probably see a lot more of these vlogs, which I know a lot of people like them, so win-win for everyone. But let me know in the comments down below what you are currently reading. Any comments that you have about the Dragon Riders of Pern series. Maybe you disagree completely with me. You know, I don't really know how you could get anything else from the book. It was pretty blatant in what it tried to say, but I'm open to discussion. So let me know in the comments down below about that, about the Helm of Midnight. Yes, we're so proud of me. Love that for me. That's finally done. And I do still plan to do a live to celebrate finally reading that book. I just have to figure out when that live is going to happen. Probably sometime in February, although we do have a lot of page turning episodes to work around. So once those are finalized, I'll let you guys know what I'm thinking about that live. But I always love talking to you guys in the comments. Truly, it is the best part of being on this platform. So please leave one down below. I would love to hear from you. Even if you don't have anything big to say, if you just want to say hi. Say hi, please. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell. I'd love to have you as part of this community, and I appreciate it. But for now, I'm gonna head out. じゃあね。行ってきます。バイバイ。バイバイ。バイバイ。またね。